In this video, I want to get into how we can add and subtract uncertainties with each other. Many times you'll have values in experiments with that both have uncertainties that interact with each other, and you need to combine those uncertainties in a certain way. So I'll start with how do we add uncertainties together? So we start with two quantities. Let's say we have something we measure as x, and it's got an uncertainty of delta x. Now, delta, this is a symbol, a Greek symbol that we use a lot of times to indicate that it is the uncertainty value. Sometimes you'll see it as lowercase delta like this. That's just saying that this delta x is the uncertainty of the x quantity. So we have one quantity with an uncertainty, and then let's say there's another quantity with y with the uncertainty of delta y. So how do we add these together, and how do the uncertainties add together? What we're trying to get is essentially this plus this. Now, if you followed the video on scientific notation that I put out a while ago, it's quite similar. So we take these two values that we calculated, not taking into account the uncertainties for now, and we add those together. So we have the values added together. Now, we can take the plus or minus and go like this, because we're now going to calculate the uncertainties. And with addition, we simply add those two quantities together. So we're adding the two values and we're adding the two uncertainties. And then that could equal, if you want x plus y to be z or something, z plus delta z, you get that. So an example would be if you calculate, say, 3 plus or minus 1 and 2 plus or minus 3, let's say. Okay, so you add these two together, 3 plus 2, and that would be plus or minus 1 plus 3. You get 5 plus or minus 4, and that would be your uncertainty. What about subtraction? Subtraction is a lot the same, and I'll see if I can fit it down here. Subtraction like this would be x plus or minus delta x minus y plus or minus delta y. So, what do we do here? Well, we can subtract the first two quantities, so x minus y. Then we add the plus or minus because we're now only looking at uncertainty on the right side. And what we do here is we take x plus y. Now you may ask yourself, why are we adding the uncertainties when it's a subtraction problem? Well, the answer is if you keep having more uncertainty in an experiment, say you make one measurement and then you make another measurement with another uncertainty, so there's two uncertainties, even if you're subtracting your values, you're still increasing your uncertainty. Uncertainties don't cancel each other out. So they always add together in your when you write them out like this. So if we want to do an example with this, say we do the same thing with these numbers. Take 3 plus or minus 1 minus 2 plus or minus 3. So we take 3 minus 2 plus or minus 1 plus 3. Sorry, this would be, yeah, that's right, plus or minus. And you get 1 plus or minus 4. And so that's how you do um, addition and subtraction of uncertainties. And maybe we can do one more example just to drive home the point. Let's do one with a bit more difficult numbers. Uh, let's say you have x equals 5.4 plus or minus 0.1, and I'll put units. So we'll say kilometers. So we got 5.4 kilometers plus or minus 0.1 kilometers. And then y we'll say is 10.7 plus or minus 0.6 kilometers. So let's calculate the total distance that this goes. So we'll say this is a total distance. If we want to calculate the total distance, that means we want to do addition. So we're going x plus y is what we want to find. So we're taking 5.4 plus or minus 0.1 kilometers plus 10.7 plus or minus 0.6 kilometers. So we can add these two together, the two values, which would be 16.1 plus or minus, we add the two uncertainties together, 0.7 kilometers. So that's our total distance. What if we want to calculate the difference in those distances? Differences. Well, then we will subtract. So let's take the larger distance. Let's go y minus x. Um, so we'll take the 10.7. I'll skip ahead one step to say, let's subtract the two values plus or minus the uncertainty values of 0.6 plus 0.1. And there should be units there. And what we get is our difference in distance is, I will put a small delta there to indicate the difference, which delta, along with uncertainty, also represents change in something. So change in distance, 5.3 plus or minus 0.7 kilometers. So that's a brief introduction and an example to how you can add and subtract uncertainties. And in the next video, I will look at how we can multiply and divide them.